Hello and happiest of days to each of you folks. I hope you guys are having just an absolutely amazing day today. So today is Saturday, and that is the day that I set aside for older movie serials and TV serials too that we might have forgotten about from the earlier genres and that sort of thing too. So the last 5 weeks I did the Zorro series by Republic. Just finished up Ghost of Zorro from that series from 47. I think it's 49 actually. But today we're going to go something fun. It's called Pirate Treasure. So let's get started with that. My review of this. So this is a 12-parter. It's from 34. It is made by Universal. It's about 3.5 hours long, all told. It's a little bit longer than a 12-parter would normally be, but it's still shorter than a lot of stuff. All right. It stars Richard Talmadge as Dick Moreland, who is the aviator and adventurer too, as his love interest. And the daughter of another major character is Lucille Lund, playing Dorothy Craig, and also starring Walter Miller as Stanley Brassett for you folks. And then starring Patrick H. O'Malley Jr. as the one I just mentioned, the father, John Craig. And then Ethan Laidlaw is also as one of the Warsher guys, Kurt. He's one of the sort of the bad guys of this, the henchman, if you will. So this is directed by Ray Taylor and written by a few people. Those are Ellie O'Neill, George Plimpton, Jack Nelson, and Basil Dickey for you folks. Alright, so I was hoping that this would be a nice period piece like Pirates of the Caribbean or things like other pirate movies during this era and that sort of thing, but unfortunately this is actually set in the modern day. So our primary protagonist, Dick Moreland, who I mentioned earlier, was an aviator and an adventurer. So he has basically just come in the first chapter. He has set the world record for the fastest round-the-world journey and that sort of thing too for private people and that sort of thing. And we will find out when he goes to speak with a local aero club that his reason for it was to fund an expedition to grab the pirate treasure from his ancestor that buried it on an island. And then after doing so has left him the map. That's in his safe. And that sort of thing, and he keeps it secret. He swears them to secrecy. Unfortunately, that night there is an attack on his place, and that sort of thing. And realizing that it must have come from one of them, he tells them the next time. Basically, what we'll find out as the audience is that the Brassett guy, the third one I mentioned, he was a member of the Aero Club, and he actually had a failed expedition to the same island, and that sort of thing. So he's trying to get that so he can go back. Get that taken care of, and he's the bad guy of the piece. We'll learn that in the first episode, but they won't learn it until the last one. Alright, so here we go. So I thought it was a little weird at times and that sort of thing. Again, I would have preferred something that's a little more of a period piece. Also, this was definitely of its time. On the island, there are natives, and this would have been, contemporaneously with modern times. Now, this would have been a few decades ago, right? But you get the idea. There are people that, instead of natives or something like, they're described as savages and that sort of thing. Definitely sort of pretty egregiously viewed and so forth, and that sort of thing. They're easily manipulated, then that sort of thing too. And so they are there too. I don't think that was done well and that sort of thing at all. I think it definitely sticks out as of its time, just as a heads up. Alrighty, so I think that's a bigger issue with it and that sort of thing. Also, I don't think the combat scenes are that great. I don't think that the pacing is that great either for a 12-part and that sort of thing too. And so I'm giving this a 6.5 out of 5. Headed for those reasons for you folks. There you go. So, have you seen this? And if so, let me know what your thoughts are, right? Remember, I'm not a trained movie critic or anything like that. I didn't go to film school, that sort of thing. I don't make films for a living, right? Or anything like that. So that means your opinion is going to be just as valid, right, as mine is. So I'm definitely interested in sort of exploring what your takes are too. And then what you thought about it, if you agree or disagree with my 6.5 out of 10 for you folks. All right. So as a reminder, like I mentioned before, in Serial Saturday, unpacking these older things is definitely the channel the passion of this day that I have set aside for the channel, and that sort of thing. For example, back then, they really sort of sold seats and pushed things that were heavily influential on modern day stuff like Star Wars and that sort of thing too, right? So. For example, you typically, back then you wouldn't go for just one film and that sort of thing. You would go for a couple of trailers. You would go for like a half a day or something like that. Like at noon or something like that. Be there for a couple of hours, watching shorts like newsreels, like the occasional trailer too, and then shorts like comics. Watch the A picture, watch another couple of shorts, and then the serial. And then you would head to intermission, and that serial is what people would talk about, not the A picture. And then heading into the second half, you would have another couple of shorts. The B picture, not nearly as dedicated or so long. Sometimes they're very, very short, especially compared to modern day stuff. There are episodes on TV that are longer than that. And then after that, you can get that stuff taken care of, and then after that, a couple more shorts, and then the serial, and then you would leave, right? And then those serials and the cliffhangers were sort of the water cooler talk. How's this person going to survive, right? Let's check it out. Let's tune in next week to find out. And that sort of thing. And you would go with your friends, your family, your co-workers, your schoolmates, your churches, all those sorts of things. So you would definitely go together as a community to experience that stuff. All right, and so that's sort of what I talk about. And one of the passions of unpacking these things on this day too, because I think a lot of those folks have definitely gone down. We've looked at things like Zora and Tarzan and Flash Gordon, Doctor Who's first two seasons too, all that stuff. Alrighty, so then check that out. And then on Wednesday, I do something called Older Video Game Review Wednesday. Right now, I'm reviewing the Fallout series of older video games. I just did Fallout Tactics. Next will be Fallout 3. After it's swatched over, so you can check that out too. And then on Monday, I do older reviews of things, or sometimes some top 10s, and that sort of a thing too, in RPGs like Middle-earth role-playing or Dungeons & Dragons, or things like war games in BattleTech, and that sort of a thing too. I'm right now currently doing the UK series, and that sort of a thing too. And then the rest of the days a week, I do older reviews of things you should read, not watch, like short stories or novels or novellas, poems and prose poems too. Lots. So you can check those out if you're interested too. And if those 7 things sound like your cup of tea, then great. Welcome to the channel. Have a seat. I think you'll enjoy your time here quite a bit. And while you're here, why not do all the YouTube stuff, like hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell icon to notify those videos, and then share it and watch. So basically share and watch. Those are the key ways of growing this channel for you folks. All right, so there you go. As you can tell from this 7 order things, it's the passion of this channel. It's even where its name comes from. The worst thing about new books. It's a quote by a French philosopher, Jacques Joubert, who said that the worst thing about them was that they kept us from reading the old stuff, right? And our passion for the new movies in this case, the new novels, the new video games too. Right? We have sometimes forgotten that these things are standing on the shoulders of these giants, right? So let's check out those giants. I think you'll enjoy it lots. The new things are bad. They're not, right? But in that passion for the new stuff, we sort of forgotten all that good stuff. Right, and then if you made it all the way to the end, I just want to thank you so very, very much for just taking some time out of your day and investing it, right? And watching my videos, because we all have so many things, right, that are happening in our lives, and we're pulled in so many different directions too, right? So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's incredibly humbling, and I appreciate that so very, very much. So thanks again, and have an amazing day.